The Automobile Association is slamming the proposed extension of Gautrain routes. It says this should also be rejected by the provincial government. In a detailed submission, it's highlighted key factors against the extension, among them the fact that the current demand is low. Let's get more on this with AA spokesperson Layton. Layton, good morning. Always great to have you here on ENCA. So you say that the Gautrain is a white elephant and you oppose these extension plans. How does the planned extension impact the AA?
Hi, good morning, Anlie, and thank you for having us. Look, I think it impacts us in the sense that all road users and everybody who's mobile is something that we are concerned about. And when people cannot be mobile, and when the mass of our provincial population cannot be mobile because there is no proper transport for them, then that does impact on the AA. And I think that we do have a responsibility to raise these issues in the interests of the public, and that's exactly what we do.
Layton, the system is definitely underutilized. There's no second guessing or questioning that. Why do you think that is? Is that purely a financial issue that people simply can't afford it?
Look, I think in our submission we make a very clear point that, in terms of the usage of the current system, it is expensive. It caters for a very specific audience, and that audience is people who can afford to use the Gautrain. And in terms of its accessibility, not everybody will have access to it from a logistical point of view. So I think on those counts, we think that that's part of the reason why ridership is low. In terms of the ridership that is low, I think our bigger concern around that is the patronage guarantee that gets paid to the concessionaire for the fact that the ridership is low. And that is coming directly out of taxpayers' money. We've calculated around 11, 12 billion rand since 2012. And that's a huge concern for us. So not only is its usage low, but the fact that its usage is low means that it does get some subsidy from government. And for us, that's a huge problem.
So not only are taxpayers paying because people are not using the service, the expansion of the route would also cost billions. How would you say should that money better be spent on public transport infrastructure that works for the people who need it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that touches, I think, at the heart of our submission, which in effect is a policy statement of the Automobile Association on mobility in Gauteng. And I think when you look at that policy, what we are saying is that let's invest in transport that is available to the mass market. Let's look at expanding the bus services. Let's look at expanding bicycle lanes. Let's look at making sure that people can use non-motorized transport. In other words, they can walk if they need to. And what is the infrastructure that is set up around that? So in our view, if we're going to spend billions, let's spend it on the right people in the right way, and not only on a select few who already, in any case, in our view, have access to transport through their motor vehicles. But people who don't have access to any transport at this stage really are suffering. And so we think that an alternative would be to pump the money that you'd spend on the Gautrain into those areas where people live and where they need it most and where they will have access to transport.
Layton, it might seem like a silly question, but our government constantly tells us that the mistakes and the imbalances of the past need to be corrected. So with that context, why is a project like the Gautrain expansion even being considered if it's not catering to the majority of South Africans who desperately need public transport, not only because they don't have access to their own vehicles, but because historically they've been shifted to areas far away from access to opportunities and employment?
I think that's a fantastic question, Anlie, and I'm not even going to venture an answer as to why the extension's on the table. I think that is something you'd need to ask the Gauteng provincial government and the Gautrain management agency. Those are the people that will tell you that. But I think your point is extremely valid, and I think you touch on the heart of our submission, that at the moment we have a system when it was introduced was opposed not by people only such as the AA, but the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee of Transport at the time questioned whether such a system as the Gautrain was necessary. There were experts in the field who questioned whether such a system as the Gautrain was necessary. And we have seen over time that few people use it, and the few people who do use it are a minority who can afford to use it. The vast majority of people, as you rightfully said, do not have access to proper transport. And the reasoning behind that, I think, is a very pointed question that the people in charge and running this process should answer.
Thank you very much, Layton Beard, for speaking to us. Look, we have to be clear, we're not criticising public transport. It's great to have, but it has to be accessible for the people who absolutely most desperately need it.